Hi, welcome to Manhwa Recap. Our story kicks off in a world where rank is everything. Seriously, even your grandma's knitting needles probably have a higher rank than your hopes and dreams. Strength, smarts, connections, wealth, and what you do for a living are all meticulously ranked, because apparently someone in charge really loves spreadsheets. And into this hyper-organized chaos steps our hero, a boy whose journey is about to begin. Meet Lo, 16, a master of wood chopping and, apparently, looking perpetually free. A dude asks him to sharpen his blade, which, fair enough, it's probably dull from all that unranked swinging. But then, wham! Yuna swoops in with a face kick that would make a martial arts movie blush. "Stop asking Lo to do everything!" she shouts, because apparently Lo's availability is a village-wide problem. The guy protests, "But he's spacing out and looks free!" To which Yuna, clearly a long-suffering friend, retorts, "He's been spacing out since birth." She then proceeds to shake Lo like a human maraca, scolding him for being too agreeable. Lo, ever the chill dude, just shrugs. "I'm fine with it, though." Yuna, however, is having none of his self-sacrificing nonsense. Yuna, now calm, because a good violent shaking cures all ailments, asks Lo if he wants to go outside. She's found a secret path nobody knows about, probably guarded by a particularly grumpy squirrel. But then, a grandma appears, wielding her walking stick like a tiny aggressive fence. "Nobody's going anywhere," she declares, because village rules are apparently more binding than superglue. Grandma then commands that Lo be locked up, while other villagers try to calm down Yuna, who's clearly got a flair for the dramatic. Then, a fat guy asks Lo to help him draw water. Lo, with the response time of a caffeinated cheetah, agrees instantly. The fat guy, shocked, comments on how Lo and Yuna are the only ones their age and have personalities that are total opposites. One's a human doormat, the other's a firecracker. Truly a mystery. He then suggests Lo rest sometimes, which is apparently a foreign concept to our hero. Lo, after a moment of silence, replies, "No, I'll help." He explains that after his parents passed, the villagers took him in like family, so he wants to repay their kindness. The fat guy is so touched, he offers Lo a permanent residence. Lo, ever the independent spirit, politely declines. "Nope, got my parents' house," because even in tragedy, property values are important. We then cut to Yuna in a cage, which, honestly, seems like a regular Tuesday for her. She begs her grandma to let her out. Grandma, with the wisdom of the ages and probably a secret stash of cookies, refuses. Yuna, clearly frustrated with the village's hermit lifestyle, asks why they're cooped up. Grandma, with a dramatic pause that would win an Oscar, declares, "Because we are beings resented by someone." Yuna asks, "By whom?" Grandma, ever the tease, replies, "You don't need to know, but someday, someone will resolve it." Spoiler alert, it's probably Lo, the poor sap. Lo, having completed another task, probably polishing every pebble in the village, gets a pebble to the head. It's Yuna, out of her cage and signaling for him to keep quiet. Lo, less impressed, asks, "You snuck out again?" Yuna, beaming with pride, declares it like winning the lottery. Lo, ever the realist, says, "It's not something to be proud of." Yuna, of course, ignores him and drags him to her secret path. Lo is hesitant, but Yuna promises to show him something amazing. As they walk, they arrive at a breathtaking horizon. Rivers, green mountains, the whole 9 yards. Yuna jumps with excitement, proclaiming, "This is the outside world." Lo, for once, is genuinely amazed. Yuna then launches into a lecture on the rules of the outside world, specifically the ranking system for everything. Because if there's one thing this world loves, it's a good ranking. Lo, holding a book, muses. So the outside world has rules too, huh? Yuna declares her ambition to become an adventurer ranker, to venture out, compete, and be respected. Lo side-eyes her, probably thinking, "You wish, sweetie." He reminds her of the no leaving the village rule. Yuna, clearly allergic to rules, says she doesn't care and has already decided to leave. She tries to convince Lo to join her, bringing up a story from when they were 5, where a big bird attacked and Lo saved her. Lo, predictably, has no memory of this. Yuna, however, is convinced Lo is secretly a superpowered hero and will shine more if he goes outside. Lo, bless his naive heart, replies, "Nope, village fine." Yuna, stomping her feet, looks ready to explode. As the sun sets, Lo prepares to return when suddenly a floating island approaches. Then, with a dramatic boom, it charges mana and obliterates the village, leaving nothing but a crater. The island then vanishes, because apparently it's got places to be. Lo, confused but not wasting a second, rushes to the village, only to find nothing. He calls out, but silence is his only reply. He collapses, weeping, screaming about his uselessness. Just then, a guy appears, muttering, "Damn it, too late again." He sees Lo, descends, and asks if he's a survivor. Lo, through tears, confirms it. The guy tries to comfort him, saying the island is gone. Lo, however, grabs the guy's collar, demanding to know what happened to everyone. The guy grits his teeth, tells Lo to give up on the village, and hands him a paper with an address for safe living. Lo screams for answers, but the guy snaps him back to reality. The village is gone, and this isn't a world for a brat like him to meddle in. He tells Lo to forget everything and turns to leave, but not without gritting his teeth again and muttering, "Please don't try to find out anymore. There's no need for Lo to be sacrificed too." But then, Lo gets serious. Green prana gathers around him, making the guy notice. Lo, channeling his inner action hero, vows to go to that island and save everyone. Because apparently, being told to forget something just makes him want to remember it even harder. Chapter 2, the mysterious guy, now noticing the amount of prana radiating from Lo, which apparently is just a fancy term for mental energy that most people are too busy scrolling through cat videos to realize they have, thinks, so this is the survivor of Babel. He wanted to protect Lo, but it seems our hero is destined to break out on his own in a few years, probably leaving a trail of accidentally offended, powerful people. So, the guy, clearly an advocate for tough love, throws a sword at Lo and offers to train him if he can just grip the sword and check his potential. Because nothing says potential like catching a flying weapon. The guy then unleashes his own red prana and challenges Lo to come at him. And bam! Lo, apparently powered by sheer traumatic adrenaline, appears in front of him and swings. The guy parries, noting Lo's sword skills are akin to a newborn giraffe, but the pressure and wave of prana is extraordinary. Then, bam! Green prana explodes from the battleground, because apparently even their training sessions are dramatic. The battle ends, and the guy, clearly unfazed by a potential concussion, explains the island. It's called the Island of the Gods, and it typically floats around like a bored deity on vacation. But every now and then, it decides to pop up in random locations and annihilate people or land. "I've been working to prevent it," the guy sighs, but it slipped away again. Clearly, the island has better escape artist skills than Houdini. According to one theory, anyone enveloped in its light gets whisked away to this exclusive divine resort. Lo, ever the optimistic one, asks, "What if I touch it?" The guy quickly shuts that down. "Nope, just a theory, and who knows what they do to you if you survive." So, Lo asks the crucial question, "What should I do then?" The guy's grand plan? Lo must rank within the top 10 of the adventurer ranking, reach the very pinnacle, and then he can try his luck with the Mystery Island. The guy then drops a bombshell. Ever since its first observation, the Island of the Gods has continuously been rank 1 in the Danger Zone ranking. Adventurers rarely return alive from this celestial death trap. Despite this glowing recommendation, the guy asks if Lo still wants to go. Lo, with the unwavering determination of someone who's just lost everything, replies, "Yes." So, the guy, clearly impressed by Lo's commitment to self-destruction, agrees to train him for 1 year, starting now. He then introduces himself as Adol, rank 1 in the Knight ranking, humanity's strongest knight. Adol humbly asks for Lo's name. They shake hands, a true bromance in the making. Adol then sets some expectations. He won't go easy on Lo, since he's the first one who strike him down with a single blow. We then see Adol sporting a fresh slash on his body, a testament to Lo's accidental power. And so, the 1-year training montage begins. Blisters, bursting muscles, torn tissues, crushed bones, and blood pouring from every orifice. Sounds like a spa day, right? As Lo endures this delightful regimen, he holds on to the hope that the villagers are still alive, probably sipping cocktails, on the Island of the Gods. 1 year later, Lo is 17, now the disciple of humanity's strongest knight. His adventure officially begins. Somewhere, a therapist sighs. Chapter 3 at the royal capital of Balter Kingdom, specifically at the Recognition Bureau Trakista branch, a girl with blue hair is completely overslept, probably dreaming of spreadsheets and power rankings. In the hallway, this blue-haired girl is chatting with a girl with glasses, who asks if she was up all night again, looking at rankings. The blue girl, clearly a dedicated professional, states, "Obviously, it's my job." We learn that her profession, dealing with rankings, is one of the hardest in the world, which makes sense. Imagine trying to rank the infinite nuances of human existence. They continue their riveting conversation about her job until they reach their destination, a crowded room overflowing with aspiring adventurers. The blue-haired girl notes that the adventurer ranking registration exam is always crowded. Then concludes it's probably because the Azaban Forest was added to the Danger Zone ranking 2 months ago, making everyone suddenly want to test their luck. The glasses girl then points out some promising examinees: Owl Darkus, rank 753rd Mercenary, and Eddie Markman, rank 402nd Archer. Apparently, they also have Knights and Seaman rankers, just in case you wanted to rank your ability to navigate rough waters. As the girls continue to chatter, a bell rings. The glasses girl entertains the new arrival. It's Lo, who was told to come here to register. We'll skip the part where the girl keeps talking, as it's probably more exposition about rankings that we don't need. Lo pays the fee and signs up, probably with the same enthusiasm he has for chopping wood. The glasses girl explains there are 3 types of exams: written, practical, and final. The first exam begins, and a lot of the examinees are sweating like crazy, likely from the sheer terror of pop quizzes. The exam ends, with the practical beginning 2 hours later. The girls check the answers, and the blue-haired girl notices Lowe's. They are, to put it mildly, all wrong. Clearly, Lowe's intellect isn't his highest-ranked attribute. The next exam begins, an item hunt with points. Some examinees are confident in their skills at finding herbs and insects, which sounds suspiciously like glorified foraging. As people scatter, the two girls chat about how many will pass, with the blue girl optimistically guessing maybe half. Then the mercenary, Owl, is the first to provide an item, the Rigel ore, earning him a respectable 120 points. The glasses. Girl insists there's still time to raise his rank, but Owl, clearly a man who knows his limits, replies, "Nope, I'll pass, and don't care of that ranking." Eddie is next, with 180 points. Owl, ever the supportive rival, quips, "Getting cocky over a mere bird's feather." Clearly, these two have a rivalry that probably involves a lot of passive-aggressive eye rolls. Then, the main event. Lowe appears, casually carrying a red grizzly. He wasn't able to remove the gallbladder, so he brought the whole bear because why half-ass it? This earns him a whopping 300 points, which is roughly the equivalent of everyone else's combined efforts. The crowd is, understandably, in shock. The blue-haired girl asks how he recognized it was a red grizzly. Lowe, with a straight face, replies, "It's because it's red." He then clarifies, probably realizing he just sounded like a kindergartner, that it's because they often appeared near his village. The other examinees murmur amongst themselves, wondering how Lowe took down a bear that quickly. Apparently, Lowe unsheathed his sword and cut the bear down in an instant, proving his novice sword skills are still lethal. An hour later, at the underground arena, the Glasses Girl explains that adventurers must be wary of magical beasts and, more importantly, other humans like bandits or pirates. Since an adventurer's job involves exploring, they'll likely encounter these charming individuals. Thus, the final exam is a mock battle. Then, an uncle approaches Eddie, asking to fight him. The uncle, clearly having a bad day, tries to mock the mercenary ranking and throws a punch. Owl, however, just unsheathes his sword and bonks the uncle with the bottom of the handle, knocking him out cold. Owl apologizes, claiming he wasn't able to control his emotion, but the Glasses Girl turns a blind eye, as the uncle was clearly set to fail anyway. The crowd murmurs about the uncle being an idiot for trying a one-shot reversal of his rank, not realizing that third class is nothing but monsters. The girl looks for Owl's opponent, but the blue-haired girl insists on deciding Owl's opponent herself. As the final exam progresses, swords clash and different weapons make dramatic noises. Now, for the big shots, Owl and Eddie are teamed up to fight Lowe. The two complain, feeling underestimated, probably thinking, "Are they serious? A bear hauler? And us?" The Glasses Girl is nervous, asking if this is really what the blue-haired girl wants. The blue-haired girl, however, assures her, yes, because she sees Lowe as a monster, which, given his track record, might actually be an understatement. Chapter 4. The arena's air got so serious you could probably cut it with a dull butter knife as the fight began. Lowe and his two opponents, who were apparently very impressive individuals, readied their weapons. The Glasses Girl bravely started the match. And bam! The archer boy shot an arrow, which Lowe expertly dodged, then, fueled by pure "I'm not having this today" energy, he leaped to attack Owl. The two parried with their swords, creating a spectacle. So fast, the spectators could only hear the whoosh and clank noises. Clearly, they paid for sound effects, not visuals. Then, Lo overwhelmed Owl, but just as he was about to land the finishing blow, probably with a dramatic flourish, the archer attacked. Lo, displaying an impressive knack for multitasking, parried that too, sending an arrow whizzing past a spectator's head. The two opponents, clearly stumped, thought Lo must be a high-ranking knight, but they just couldn't place his face. Lo, ever the inquisitive one, asked if they were affiliated with other rankings. Both replied with their respective ranks, because apparently this world operates on LinkedIn profiles. Lo, deciding it was time to stop holding back, brought out his prana, declaring, "If I defeat you two, I'll definitely rise to the 3-digit ranks." The entire arena was instantly overwhelmed with Lo's prana, probably causing a few minor heart palpitations in the front row. Eddie, still clinging to his identity, yelled, "He's the 78th for sharpshooter!" But in a blink of an eye, bam! Eddie was down. Lo then calmly walked toward a terrified Owl. Owl, looking like he'd just seen a ghost who also owed him money, was about to be obliterated, but just as Lo blinked behind him for the finishing move, Owl surrendered. "I'm going to work after this, so it's inconvenient for him," he stated, as if losing a fight to a human whirlwind was just a minor scheduling conflict. Lo, taking a hint, sheathed his sword. Owl, still shaking, continued to wonder who this bastard was. With that, the match ended in a flawless victory for Lo. Meanwhile, the blue-haired girl, smelling opportunity, rushed to her office to check Lo's data. She emerged overjoyed, muttering about hitting the jackpot. She then rushed out, ready to offer herself as Lo's recognition agent, but was met by a swarm of other agents, all vying for a piece of the action. Lo, clueless, asked, "What is a recognition agent?" The blue-haired girl, seizing her moment, hastily volunteered to explain. "It's a personal rank updater. Normally, it takes ages for your rank to update, but with an agent, it's instant." She even whipped out her terminal for extra sales talk, probably with a little jingle. Lo, grasping the concept, realized he needed an agent to efficiently climb the rankings. So, he gave them one condition. "Is there anyone who can get me into the top 10 of the adventurer ranking?" The agents instantly started sweating in bullets, because apparently, top 10 is code for suicide mission. Chapter 5, the agents were in shock, seemingly unable to meet Lo's audacious demands. Top 10? They probably thought. Those are monsters! Lo, noticing their collective nervous breakdowns, turned his back and started to leave. But then, the blue-haired girl, with the tenacity of a bulldog, ran up to him. She asked why he wanted to be in the top 10. Lo, ever the master of witty banter, replied, "It's none of your business." The girl, still insisting on being his agent, persisted. But Lo, firm in his decision, said he didn't want to involve a child. The girl, clearly offended by being called a child, retaliated, "You're a child too," and reminded him she was a recognition agent. Lo, however, doubled down. "Even if you're not a child, I won't hire her. I don't want to involve others." But then, the girl, summoning her inner drama queen, declared her unwavering determination. There's something she must do, and he needs the MC's help with it. With those powerful words, Lo turned to her, seeing a reflection of his own grim resolve. Though, let's be real, this girl probably just wanted a promotion. The something she must do probably involves a fatter commission. And so, they exchanged names. The girl's name was Look Imedia. Night came, and Look rented a room for a few days. Lo, ever the gentleman, thanked her for being capable. But then Look slammed her bag onto the bed, clearly irked by the trial period he'd given her to be his agent. Lo mumbled an apology. Look, however, revealed she wasn't actually mad, just annoyed. She declared that in 1 week she would prove her competence and that Lo would soon be bowing to her to be his permanent agent. Lo, ever nonchalant, simply hoped so. She then noticed Lo's signature spaced-out look, to which he replied, "I hear that a lot." Then the phone rang. The results were in. Lo was rank 2728th. Look, trying to sound enthusiastic, congratulated him for reaching the 2000s. Lo, clearly expecting more, thought he'd at least hit the 3-digit ranking, considering he'd just utterly demolished Eddie and Owl. Look, corrected him, "It's because a lot of people are in the adventurer rankings, other than other rankings." She then continued to talk, but we'll spare you the details. It was probably more ranking statistics. Look then, with the deductive skills of a particularly observant squirrel, guessed Lo's ultimate goal, to reach the top 10 and, of course, the Island of the Gods. Lo agreed. Look then asked Lo for his reasons after the trial period ended, to which Lo agreed. Look added that she'd tell him her own situation then. Lo deemed this fair, and Look agreed, adding, "Being is important." Then, out of nowhere, she murmured, "What I'm chasing is the darkness of the rankings," with a serious face that probably made Lo wonder if he'd just hired a conspiracy theorist. Lo asked what she said, but she quickly dismissed it. She then asked about the source of his immense power and swordsmanship. He replied he learned it through Adol. Look was so shocked. She grabbed Lo's collar, demanding clarification. Was he talking about the first-ranked knight? Lo, nonchalantly, clarified that yes, he was. Again, we'll skip Look's inevitable monologue about Adol's fame and how everyone wants to be his disciple, blah, blah, blah. We get it, he's famous. Look then rechecked Lo's data and questioned his name, asking if it was an alias. Lo, remembering Adol's advice about having a surname and avoiding unnecessary attention, because apparently being a powerful anomaly doesn't draw attention, replied it wasn't an alias, and Tully was his family's name. Look, surprisingly, just accepted it. With her agent duties done for now, Look removed her hat. Lo, finally realizing she was a girl, looked genuinely shocked. He then, with the eloquence of a startled goldfish, blurted out a simple, "Sorry." This, of course, made Look mad again because sorry was apparently not the profound apology she was expecting. Chapter 6 Morning broke, and we found Look, hatless for once, revealing she was, in fact, a girl, more on that later, engrossed in a magazine. She was startled to see Lo already up and about. Lo, ever the master of enigmatic replies, simply stated he was going to draw water, which apparently mystified Look. Lo, dismissing her confusion with a simple "Good morning," probably left her wondering if he'd just invented a new form of meditation. Look then grabbed her hat, ready for breakfast and whatever baffling adventures Lo would drag her into. At a local eatery, the discussion quickly turned to how to boost Lo's adventurer ranking. Lo, casually munching on a sandwich, because even world-saving heroes need sustenance, declared that land development or exploration is basic. Look, however, recommended sticking to quests for now. We'll spare you the details of Look explaining the thrilling intricacies of basic questing, as it likely involved charts and graphs of monster drop rates. Lo, cutting straight to the chase, asked if there were any quests that could easily inflate his ranking. Look, ever the enabler, suggested tackling high-difficulty quests for maximum rank-boosting effect. In that case, I'll take the top quest, Lo declared, with the casualness of someone ordering a coffee. Look checked, and the current top quest was retrieving the hidden treasure sleeping in the Lokiana underwater temple, which, by the way, was Danger Zone ranking 7th. Upon reading this, Look shot up from her chair, probably knocking over a few salt shakers, declaring this quest was impossible for the MC right now. Lo, however, channeled his inner motivational speaker. You won't know unless you try. Look, clearly at her wit's end, insisted he not take it. But Lo, ever the nonchalant, stubborn mule, was determined. His main goal was the Island of the Gods, so backing down wasn't an option. Look just looked irritated, probably dreaming of a world with less emotionally distant clients. Then, suddenly, a guy named Loud approached them. Look immediately recognized him. Lo, ever the social butterfly, had to ask who he was. Look, probably with an exasperated sigh, introduced Loud Blowerward, rank 11th in the adventurer ranking. Lo's mental gears finally started turning. He remembered Adol's warning. Adventurers are the most numerous rankers, and the top ones are monsters. So this is one of the top rankers, Lo murmured, clearly impressed by Loud's impressive ranking, and perhaps his stylish hair, as Lo continued to mumble to himself. Look, seizing the opportunity, brazenly asked Loud for a favor. Beat Lo. Inside the arena, Loud and Lo stood ready for a duel. Loud, caught off guard by the sudden challenge, had to borrow a weapon. It's light, but he can manage, he probably thought, confident in his abilities. Lo introduced himself, but Loud, being a ranker, brushed off the formalities. Loud then explained that Look had also updated his ranking before, and he praised her passion as a recognition agent. So, to fulfill her request, Loud wanted to teach this stubborn beginner his place. Clearly, she cares about you, Loud added, probably missing the "she just wants to get a better commission" memo. Lo, however, couldn't care less about Look's grand plans. He was focused solely on Loud, sensing his powerful presence. Look, ever the supportive and self-serving agent, shouted to Lo that this was a good opportunity for him to learn how the world is, at least once. But then, Lo got serious. He already knew the vastness of the world, thank you very much. And bam! Green prana erupted from him. Because what's a serious moment without a little glow? The match began. Lo, quick on his feet, dashed towards Loud, but Loud blocked it. Lo launched another sword slash, but being rank 11 was no joke, and Loud expertly dodged. Loud was clearly trying to read Lo's prana usage, probably wondering if Lo was just winging it. But then, he noticed the swordmanship. It was the Sword Saint style. Loud couldn't believe Adol had actually passed this legendary style to this child. Lo, ever the serious one right now, blinked behind Loud, asking, "It's not time to be thinking, is it?" He slashed his sword, but Loud, with a casual flick of his spear, blocked it again. "I'm quite relaxed, you see," Loud quipped, making Lo click his tongue in annoyance. Loud launched another attack, but Lo reacted, proving he wasn't just a green glow. Loud concluded that Lo had more prana than him, and then both were repelled by their own attacks. Loud, clearly bewildered, asked, "What race is Lo?" Lo, naturally, had no idea. Loud, clearly suspecting a cover-up, said, "Don't play dumb, 'cause it doesn't work." That much prana is not acquired in life just like that. But anyway, Loud didn't want to push it anymore and readied his spear, puncturing it into the ground. "You can use incantations, right?" Loud asked, clearly forgetting that Lo barely understood what prana was 5 minutes ago. Then Loud incantated, and bam! Multiple swords appeared out of nowhere, and Loud was enveloped in a golden prana. With murderous eyes, Loud warned, "You'll die if you don't use it too." Lo, now fully aware he was in over his head, got ready to fend off this magical onslaught. Chapter 7 Lo backed up slightly, probably wondering if he'd wandered into a magic show. Loud, ever the refined duelist, calmly fixed his eyeglasses, as if a shower of spectral blades was just a minor inconvenience. Lo, still in shock, thought, "What kind of witchcraft is this?" Then, bam! Loud launched his incantation swords. Lo, still contemplating the existential nature of magical weaponry, failed to dodge some of them. He then remembered what Adal had told him about his rough handling of prana and how he'd eventually master techniques. Back in the present, Lo decided now was a good time to try one. He performed the simplest technique, Flash Blade. A green slash erupted, so fast it even shocked Loud, who probably thought he'd seen everything. Loud, however, was ready, defending, by copying Aquaman's spear defense technique, which, to be fair, sounds impressively agile for a guy with a spear. Then, out of nowhere, Lo suddenly appeared in front of him, ready to strike. Loud, quick on his knees, defended with his barrage of prana swords. Still taken aback, Loud charged his spear and threw it at Lo. Lo defended with his sword, but rank 11 was rank 11 for a reason. "Admirable," Loud said, snapping his fingers. "The wall is too high. Do not underestimate the adventurer ranking." And with that, multiple light swords attacked Lo, making him mutter a defeated, "Damn it." Bam! Explosions occurred, leaving Loud the undisputed victor. With the dust settled, Loud approached Look, asking if she was satisfied. Look, ever the pragmatic agent, agreed. With this experience, Lo will understand, she probably mused, hoping he'd learn a lesson about underestimating powerful opponents, or maybe just about doing his homework. Loud then casually mentioned that Look seemed to think Lo actually had a chance of winning. Look, caught off guard, admitted it was a possibility since Lo was the disciple of Adal and used the Sword Saint-style technique. Loud, however, looked a bit uncomfortable. "Is this all right?" he asked, explaining that the Sword Saint style was passed down to a single successor, the strongest swordmanship inherited by prominent knight rankers for generations. The fact that Lo had inherited it was, from a knight's perspective, like having a holy grail stolen from them. Upon hearing this, Look's eyes widened. She quickly concluded that she must prevent Lo from meeting knight rankers. "That is wise," Loud agreed, though he added that it would be resolved if he becomes a knight ranker. But no, Lo was stubborn to be an adventurer ranker, probably because he liked the idea of being an underdog with secret, ridiculously powerful skills. Look then revealed the real reason she believed in Lo. Regardless of the Sword Saint style, it's because he landed. A valid hit on Adal. She believed him. And apparently, Lo wasn't the type to lie. Loud agreed, conceding that there might have been some circumstances that helped Lo land that hit on Adal. Loud then approached his spear, picking it up. If he had used incantations, Loud muttered, "I might have lost," which, to be fair, is a pretty good compliment from a rank 11 monster.